I never thought that getting hit by a car would be the best thing that ever happened to me. I once thought I had a loving family and a happy life. But after the divorce, I had nothing. It felt like there was nothing left for me in this world. But then everything changed when a car nearly hit me. That's when I met a long-lost friend, and my life began to take a new turn. Never in my wildest, most melodramatic nightmares did I think almost getting creamed by a Honda would be the plot twist my life needed. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Here's the thing. I used to think I had it all: family, house, the works. Picture perfect, at least on Instagram. Fast forward through the train wreck of a divorce, and it felt like my life was just a bad soap opera rerun. I mean, who even was I at that point? Spoiler, I had no clue. So there I am, wiping dust off this old family photo. The kind where everyone's grinning like idiots, and you just wish you could jump back in, even for a minute. The frame's all beat up, and honestly, so was I. Harry, my kid, he looked so happy in that photo. Eyes all full of trust, like he hadn't figured out yet that adults are basically just tall children making it up as we go. James, ugh, my ex, has his arm around me like we're the perfect couple. I used to buy that lie too. Hook, line, and sinker. Now, that version of my life was gone. Poof. I tried calling Harry, texting him, basically sending digital SOS signals into the void. Nothing. James twisted the whole story, made it sound like I just bailed on them. Walked out without a backward glance. Which, for the record, is total garbage. I hung on way longer than anyone with sense would. Stuck it out through the weird silences, the fake apologies, the kind of cold you feel in your bones. I didn't leave because I didn't care. I left because I literally couldn't breathe anymore. But James got to him first. And Harry, being a kid and all, believed the person who was left standing in the kitchen. Snap back to reality, Miss Kinsley's house. She's my boss, and her place is so spotless it's almost creepy. No clutter, no chaos, just stillness. I'm standing there, clutching that photo and trying not to fall apart, when her voice cuts in. Lucy, is everything all right? I must have looked like a raccoon on a bender. Oh yeah, totally fine, just tired, I mutter, wiping my eyes and forcing a smile. Classic. Miss Kinsley gives me this look, like she's about to hand me tissues and a life lesson at the same time. Lucy, I know you've had a rough go lately, but maybe we should talk. Cue the dread. That, oh no, here comes the speech feeling. I try to bargain, throwing out promises about working harder, being better. She just shakes her head, gentle but firm. It's not the work, she says. You're great at that. But my son, he's sensitive to the mood around here. Lately it's been heavy. I just need someone who can bring a little lightness. Honestly, it hurt. Not mean, just honest. Sometimes the truth is like lemon juice in a paper cut. I try to thank her, but my voice is barely a whisper. I leave, feeling like I'm hauling around a 1,000-pound backpack full of regret and missed chances. So I'm walking home, dragging my feet, not even noticing the cars whizzing by. Brains on autopilot, rewinding to high school, when my biggest issue was algebra or if my crush would borrow my pen. Life seemed like this straight road back then. Study, fall in love, get married, have kids, be happy. Check, check, check. Except, newsflash, life is more like a busted roller coaster. Twists, turns, and sometimes the tracks just drop out from under you. Every day felt like lugging around a dumbbell no one else could see. But hey, sometimes you gotta get knocked sideways, almost literally, before you find your way back. BAM, some absolute maniac just laid on their horn, jolting me out of whatever daydream I'd been marinating in. 1 minute, I'm zombie walking through life, barely noticing my own shoelaces, and then boom, my heart's doing the drum solo from In the Air Tonight. I snap my head up, and there's this car barreling straight for me. Like actually gunning it. Not a care in the world for my personal space, or my dignity, honestly. The dude hits a puddle the size of a kiddie pool. Water explodes everywhere, like full-on baptism with road filth. For a second, it's like time hit slow-mo just to really let the panic marinate. My legs? Completely useless. Glued to the spot, like my brain and my body forgot how to work together. Move back. Jump forward. Who knows? The car's practically on top of me, and I've got maybe half a breath to decide if I want to be roadkill or just humiliated. Instinct finally wins out, and I leap forward, barely dodging the bumper. Of course, I land dead center in the puddle. Water's freezing, mud everywhere, and now I look and feel like a drowned sewer rat. I hit the pavement hard, palms scraped, knees bruised, ego shattered. The car screeches to a stop, tires wailing like they're auditioning for a horror movie. It ends up maybe a foot away from where I'm sprawled, soaked and shivering in nasty street soup. Then, the driver's door swings open, nearly taking out my dignity a second time. Out steps this guy in a suit so fancy it probably costs more than my entire life savings. He's got that look, the one where he's not sure if you're a human or just an inconvenient puddle of garbage. He stomps over, shoes splashing, face twisted up like he just sniffed sour milk. "Are you blind?" he snaps, voice as sharp as a slap. "You could have dented my car. Like, sorry for existing, man." Embarrassment floods me, hot and prickly, mixing with the cold mud seeping everywhere. My cheeks are on fire. I scramble to my feet, wishing I could just evaporate. I'm sorry," I mumble, barely audible. Real strong comeback, right? He just looks at me like I'm some gum stuck to his $800 loafers. Seriously, the disdain is next level. "Do you even know how much this car is worth?" he barks, flapping a hand toward his precious speed machine. Just as I'm ready to melt into the asphalt, someone else pipes up, voice calm, but with that "don't mess with me" edge. "Glenn, stop it." Other side of the car opens and, surprise, another suit steps out. This one's taller, sharper, but his face isn't twisted up in rage. If anything, he looks concerned, maybe even kind, like actual concern for a stranger covered in mud and shame. Weirdly comforting, honestly. He strolls over, totally ignoring Glenn's angry muttering. Walks like he's got all the time in the world. When he's right in front of me, his tone softens even more. "You okay?" he asks, voice low. Not pitying, just genuinely checking in. I look up, still half in shock, and there's something about him that steadies the chaos inside me. He makes me feel, human again. "I think I'm okay," I say, though my teeth are chattering and my clothes are basically glued to me with dirty water. Everything's cold except for the weird little warmth he brings just by being there. "Let's get you somewhere warm, yeah?" he says, holding out a hand. I hesitate because stranger danger is real, but honestly, he just feels safe. Like he's more likely to offer me tea than throw me under another car. So I grab his hand, and he pulls me up without a hint of hesitation. Backseat for me. Glenn sulks up front, still grumbling, but my new friend is all calm and collected, sitting next to me like this is totally normal. As we drive off, I stare out the window, dripping, feeling like I just got scooped out of a puddle and dropped into someone else's movie. Eventually, we roll up this ridiculous driveway, lined with hedges that probably get trimmed by people in polo shirts. At the end, an actual mansion, like the kind you see in shows about rich people problems. It's almost too perfect, every window, every brick screaming money. I'm still gawking when the guy next to me laughs under his breath. "Bit over the top, huh?" he says, grinning. "Yeah, just a bit," I admit, trying not to sound too impressed. "But wow, it's gorgeous." He flashed another grin and stepped outside, giving me a little wave to tag along. Walking in after him, honestly, the place felt almost fake, like I'd wandered into some posh dream. The floor practically glared back, all that shiny marble catching the chandelier light in a way that screamed, "Look at me, I'm expensive." Not a speck of dust anywhere, but weirdly, it didn't feel stuffy, more like the kind of fancy you could actually relax in. He steered me into this huge living room where a fire was going strong, popping and snapping in the hearth. Cozy didn't even begin to cover it. Plush chairs everywhere, thick rugs, soft blankets folded with that kind of care you only see in TV commercials. He just pointed me toward a big armchair by the fire, no big speech or anything. I collapsed into it, and man, I could actually feel the chill in my bones start to melt away. He didn't say much else. Didn't have to, really. The whole vibe was just kind. In that room, with the fire and the quiet and the weird sense of safety, I finally let myself drop my guard and breathe for a second. "Make yourself comfortable," George said, voice real gentle, before slipping out. I just sat there, still trying to wrap my head around the whole night. The fire kept up its little soundtrack, filling the silence with soft crackles. I sank even deeper into the chair, letting it all soak in. A few minutes later, George popped back in, this time holding a mug that was steaming like crazy. "Figured you could use something hot," he said, handing it over with a smile that made me trust him somehow. I nodded, didn't trust my voice not to crack, grabbed the cup, and hugged it like a lifeline. The warmth seeped through my fingers, and for the first time that day, I felt just a tiny bit okay. Took a sip, let the heat chase away some of the chaos. It was simple, but honestly, it felt like the nicest thing anyone had done for me in ages. Then the door creaked open again, and in came a middle-aged dude with a leather bag slung over his shoulder, looking like he'd just stepped out of some old-timey country doctor movie. George introduced him as William, his own doctor. William had these calm eyes and a way about him that made you want to spill your guts, like he'd seen it all before and didn't judge. He asked to see my hands and checked out the scrapes and bruises from my little tumble. His touch was soft, barely there, like he was handling something precious. He mostly just hummed under his breath and nodded, totally focused, but not in a cold way. "Nothing too bad," he said eventually, standing up with a smile. "Just a few scratches. You'll be all right." Relief hit me so hard I almost laughed. Didn't even realize I'd been holding my breath. "Thanks, doctor." I managed, and wow, I actually meant it. It felt nice. Like I mattered just for a second. William packed up his gear and ducked out. I just sat there, staring at my empty mug, still trying to figure out what came next. Glanced over at George, part thankful, part clueless. "I should probably head out," I said, voice kinda small. "Seriously, I can't thank you enough." But George just held up his hand, all gentle. "Stay, Lucy," he said real soft. "It's been way too long since we've seen each other. Hang out a bit." "Wait, what?" That caught me off guard. I looked at him, totally confused. "Hold up, you know my name?" He just smiled, like he'd been expecting that exact reaction. He leaned back, eyes steady and warm, and asked, "Do you remember me?" I squinted at him, trying to piece it together. There was something in his eyes. A flicker. A memory. I tilted my head. And then bam. It hit me. That smile. That voice. "Wait, George. George from high school." He busted out laughing, nodding. "The one and only," he said. "It's been, 28 years since graduation? And honestly, Lucy, you haven't changed a bit." I snorted, cheeks burning. "Oh, get out of here," I said, shaking my head. "I can't believe it's really you. Where the heck did life take you?" Suddenly, it was like no time had passed. We started swapping old stories, laughing about teachers and stupid inside jokes that somehow still made sense. He remembered my doodles in his notebook, the milkshakes after school at that grimy old diner, even the time we almost got busted for ditching class senior year. Turns out, some connections just don't rust. We sat there, laughing like idiots, feeling the years peel away. Weird how easy it was, like we'd never really lost each other at all. George's face shifted. Gone was the easy smile. He leaned in, elbows digging into his jeans, eyes all serious now. "So, how's life really treating you?" His voice was soft, almost like he was afraid I'd break. I stalled. "What do you say?" There's only so much you want to spill, but the way he looked at me, so damn patient, made it easy somehow. I stared at my hands like they might start giving me answers. "Honestly, it's been rough," I mumbled, voice barely there. "Divorced last year. My kid won't talk to me, not for months. And today, lost my job. Yeah, that was it, all my dirty laundry, right out there between us. Didn't cry, but damn if it didn't sit heavy in my chest. I guess everything I thought I had just slipped through my fingers," I said, trying to laugh, but it came out all wrong. George just reached out and took my hand. Solid, warm, kind of grounding. "Lucy, I'm so sorry," he said, voice rough around the edges. "Wish I could have changed things for you. That's a hell of a lot to carry." I shrugged, throat all knotted up. "Yeah, well, sometimes I wish I'd gotten a different hand dealt. But life's got a wicked sense of humor, doesn't it?" He got quiet, eyes somewhere far away for a second. Then he looked right at me. "Hey, remember our last night after prom? I told you I loved you, remember?" That one hit me right in the gut. Memories just boom flooded back. I couldn't talk at first. Just stared at the fire, feeling the old ache. "Yeah," I whispered. "I remember." My gaze dropped. Wasn't expecting to feel all that again. "I think about that night sometimes," I admitted, voice barely there. "All those what-ifs. What if I'd stayed? What if?" Years gone, and yet here comes the heartache, like it's been hiding behind the years, waiting for this exact moment. I remembered the stars, the way he held me, that ridiculous goodbye we both pretended wasn't forever. Spoiler, it was. George just nodded. No anger, just, I don't know, kindness. Like he got it. "Can't turn back the clock, Lucy," he said, gentle as ever. "But look at us. We're here now. Maybe that means something." I finally looked at him, really looked. For the first time in ages, I felt this tiny spark, hope or something like it. Faint but real. "Maybe it does," I said, and somehow I was smiling. Couldn't help it. We sat for a bit, letting the quiet fill up the room. It wasn't awkward. It was honestly kinda nice. The years between us didn't feel so wide anymore. He squeezed my hand, pulled me back to now. "We can't fix all those years," he repeated, this time like he was talking to himself too. "But maybe we could start again, where we left off." I laughed, couldn't help it. It came out weird, shaky, but it felt good. Lighter than I'd felt in ages. "Wait, are you seriously asking me out? After all this time?" I grinned, shaking my head. He grinned right back, full of mischief and something else. Hope, maybe. Yeah, I guess I am. How about dinner? Nothing fancy. Just us. I pictured it, us, two battered souls at some diner, talking about everything and nothing. Not kids anymore. Not pretending. Just us. The thought warmed me, honest. I'd like that, I said, grinning for real now. But only if you don't try to run me over again. He laughed, a big, honest laugh. Deal. No more near-death experiences, promise. Funny, couple hours ago, I was a mess, wet, lost, convinced life was over. But now, sitting here with George, it almost felt like maybe, just maybe, things weren't as broken as I thought. Maybe there was something left. Not the old life, but something new. Maybe better. Wild how fast things can twist around. Never thought standing in that gross, rainy street with my life in shambles would land me right back at the beginning. With someone I never really stopped loving. Life's got a weird way of looping back. Sometimes the stuff you thought was long gone, maybe it's just been waiting for you to notice it again.